So, you're a family man looking for an MPV to ferry your kids and parents around for shopping and a road trip, but you're simply underwhelmed by the performance of those affordable MPVs out there because most of the time you're probably driving the car alone and you need that thrill of excitement when it comes to driving. And most big-size MPVs out there are just too big and expensive to maintain anyway. Yup, that sounds pretty much like me, which is why I've been so happy with the BYD M6 over the weekend. This electric MPV here has got me sold in so many ways, and I can tell you that this is the MPV that you might want to build your dreams to own one. Now, there's a reason why I ended the intro with that statement. Because even though the BYD M6 starts at an attractive 109,000 ringgit in Malaysia, it is still far from being an affordable people mover for the average family. But let's forget about that for a bit and talk about why this is the MPV that you will dream to own. As a family car, the BYD M6 has a very nice and sporty front face that doesn't make it feel like you're driving a dated-looking minivan. It has sharp-looking front LED lights that makes you proud every time you look at it. The tail light stretches to the whole tailgate that gives it a sporty profile. And from the sides, the M6 doesn't look like the typical bulky MPV that can feel difficult to handle. One of my initial worries about the BYD M6 is the driving experience, as most MPVs tend to feel reluctant at the starting line. They make you feel that you're towing something at the back and feel bulky to drive on the road. Not to mention some obvious body roll when you try to make a sharp turn around the corner. The BYD M6 fortunately drives more like a sedan rather than an actual lengthy MPV. The steering is responsive to every turn I make, and making sharp turns at moderate speeds doesn't feel like you're about to crash the car. The electric powertrain that produces up to 110 kilowatts and 310 Newton meters might not give you the thrill of a dual motor setup, but it is responsive enough to get you up from the starting line and offering power when you need to do swift overtakes. Another thing I'm really impressed with the BYD M6 is the turning radius at a U-turn, which feels very effortless. While side parking on streets is very manageable despite its lengthy body, all thanks to the excellent 360-degree cameras that offers accurate guidance. If I were to nitpick one thing about this standard range BYD M6, it is the lack of ADAS safety features. Though on one hand, I love that it doesn't make annoying and unnecessary warnings from time to time, BYD should have at least given a blind spot warning system on the side mirrors because it looks bad without them on a 100,000 ringgit automobile. The BYD M6 that we got here is the standard range model that costs 109,000 ringgit in Malaysia, which is actually a very attractive price tag for such a big size MPV. So you might be thinking, what did BYD compromise to make this big car such an attractive value? Well, let's find out. So starting with what's inside the car here, look at the door trim here. Now there's a bit of hard plastic around this part of the car here, but surprisingly, BYD has taken care of a couple of details, including this armrest right here. This armrest is actually made of leather. That's really nice. So if you put your palm here, your hand here while driving, it actually feels very comfortable. Now, even on the top here, you might thought that they actually fitted hard plastic here, but this is in fact a soft leather that actually feels very premium. So for 109,000 ringgit, BYD really didn't compromise too much when it comes to the build of the car. Now, if you move into the cabin here, it's even more impressive than similar price segment cars. Now, starting with the leather seats, you get all leather seats around, and this is a very beautiful brown color leather. Even the steering wheel as well has some really nice thick leather padding that feels holding the wheel really nice. Well, the only thing that you kind of hate the car is that the entire dashboard and the bottom part is all hard plastic. But yeah, put it this way, BYD has made up with this really nice textured dashboard, which actually looks really nice, even though it's not real wood or whatsoever. But yeah, it looks pretty much like a wood trim, but it is a pretty nice plastic textured trim. So coming to the back here, you will realize that the door trim is similar to the front, which is actually really nice. And as you can see, I fitted a child seat on this right side here. So this is how it looks like if you happen to have a child seat installed right here. So once you already have a child seat installed, it's really difficult to access the third row seats through this door, but thankfully we have another access through the other side, so that's actually fine, because once you try to pull the seats in front just like this, it simply wouldn't budge at all, right? So you just try to pull, see, you just simply can't move to the front, in order to get access to the third row seats, which is why I'm just going to move on to the back right now to show you guys how big the boot space is on the back here. So for the standard range model, you do not get an electric tailgate, unfortunately. So this is a manual tailgate, which is quite heavy for the average user, but comes up pretty easily. So this is how big the space of the BYD M6 really is once the third row seats are all being folded down, because this is what you're going to do most of the time if you are not ferrying 7 people. So I can basically fit in a stroller and a couple of luggages if I want to do so. So let's just take out the stroller and we're going to pull up the third row seats. Alright, so this is how you pull up the seats, just like this, by pulling this lever, just like pretty much every MPV with third row seats. Alright, once it's done, let's get to the back here. So just going to close the trunk door and head over to the back. Alright, so to get up to the third row seats, let's just pull this lever like this, and automatically it will go to the front, which that one doesn't because we already have the child seat. And let's get up to the third row just like this. So getting up to the third row seats of the BYD M6 is not that difficult as you think. In fact, I'm actually liking the space of the third row seats here, even though I'm 1.68 meters tall. As you can see, I still have a bit of leg space here, even though like this particular seat has been pushed to the front, but you can see this is how it feels like. Of course, for those super tall guys, it's going to be slightly cramped, just like any other MPVs with a third row seat. But in terms of head space, look at it. Still has a bit of space right here, which I think is still very good. Even if you go through bumpy roads and all that, it's not likely that you're going to hit your head. Now, I love some convenience that the BYD M6 has for the third row seat passengers, such as this dedicated aircon vents on the top here. I love that it is right on the top here so that you can actually adjust it instead of just having at the side here, which is kind of awkward. You even get dedicated speakers here and even a cup holder at this side, and that side also has one as well. So yeah, overall it is actually really convenient, and it's something that I didn't thought that it would be so comfortable to sit on the third row of the BYD M6. Alright, so this is basically how you get down from the third row seats of the BYD M6. As you can see, it's really convenient, pretty easy. Now, starting from the instrument panel, this is something that you would have least expected to exist on a modern EV, because this is an analog instrument panel, which I still think it looks pretty cool. But for most people out there looking out for an electric vehicle, this is something that you might be a little underwhelmed, because it's analog, it's not digital, it's not as cool as other EVs out there, but you still get a little 7-inch screen right there. If I'm not mistaken, that center screen is a 7-inch color screen, which still actually works great. There's still a couple of features that you still can do on the BYD M6. So let me just get into the menu right now. Alright, so this is how you go through the menu system. It's all pretty straightforward. Like, for example, you can control the air conditioning of the car through this center console screen, which I think it looks pretty cool. Like, you can choose how big you want the aircon fan to be, up to 7 speed if you want to, and you can just go back and choose what is the aircon temperature that you want to set. It's all really convenient, and that's because this car doesn't have any physical aircon control. So I guess BYD simply just built this for the sake of convenience instead of having you to stripe on the center console screen and all that. Alright, now in other menus, you can also just check how you're doing in terms of the electric consumption and all that. It's all pretty basic information and basic stuff that you can do on the screen right here. So to be honest, I don't really quite miss having one big screen over there, because sometimes I think it causes a little bit of distraction when you drive the car. Now, in other cabin features, the standard range model here unfortunately doesn't come with Qi wireless charging. So this big space right here is good for you to put your smart tag and maybe even your phone right here. I have no idea what this NFC corner is for, but if you get the extended range model, this is basically a Qi wireless charger that charges your phone. The air conditioning is placed here, which I think it looks great, and compared to the Atto 3, at least this aircon vent looks a bit more normal, not those funky looking ones. And you still get your standard build your dreams tagline here. Whether you like it or not, this car, the BYD term, it still stands for build your dreams in international standards. Now, probably what makes this car slightly tacky is this gear shift here. It actually looks really cool, looks really high-tech. So you're gonna press a button to shift gears and all that, and you get some other buttons right here, like controlling the volume and even an auto brake, energy regeneration, and drive modes. Yep, you get drive modes in this car. You can choose from normal mode, eco, and sport mode, and that's actually pretty cool. Now, let's focus on this thing here. Now, this 12-inch slate is probably one thing that you will not get on any ICE car models or even on cars within the price segment. Now, this screen, of course, it supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. By the way, I'm now on Android Auto wireless. It works really great. In fact, I think this is probably the smoothest wireless Android Auto experience that I have seen on any cars out there, and it works really great. It's just a shame that it doesn't really kind of take advantage of this large screen, because it could have been like a more optimized interface, but every icon and all that looks just too big right here. But that's the whole point here. It is just to make navigation easier, so you can just simply press on Spotify if you want to without actually looking at the screen if you have gotten used to it. All right, now let's just get out of the Android Auto interface and take a look at this system here. Now, this is a pretty standard interface that you will see on pretty much every BYD car models. This operating system, if I'm not mistaken, is called DLink, D-I-L-I-N-K. Yep, the D stands for the BYD's D. All right, so you still get the standard voice assistant right here to do certain things if you want to do so, which I think is really cool. Now, there are some built-in apps already, such as the built-in navigation, which I totally don't use it at all. But yeah, if you don't have your phone and you still need a navigation system, this thing still works great. There's updated point of interest and all that, and you get built-in Spotify as well, which is actually a pretty nice thing. So you don't really need to connect your phone in order to enjoy Spotify and all that. It already has Spotify built in. Just log into your account and it works. But one thing that I want to mention here is that it comes with an exclusive karaoke app, and look at this, guys. It is a BYD microphone, and that's what makes this MPV really fun to drive, because you know what? You can just launch this Stingray karaoke app, turn on this microphone, and by the way, this microphone has a dongle that you need to connect to the USB port of the car, and it works right off the box without any pairing at all. So let me just show you guys how it sounds. Hey, this is how the BYD mic sounds like, and it even has echo going around. Woo! And yeah, you can even configure the microphone settings by pressing on this button right here, and you can control the microphone volume, the echo, which is called reverberation. I'm not sure why they use that. They could have just put echo, and you can select the sound effect that you want to. You can choose between recording studio, music hall, and even original. So yeah, if you have a tour guide in the BYD M6, you can pretty much ask them to use this mic to say, hey, we are now some tourist attraction, blah blah blah. Alright, I'm just kidding, guys. So yeah, this is how the BYD M6 microphone works. Now, speaking of the karaoke app, you do not need a subscription to access these songs. Now, as you can see, the tracks look pretty modern, especially if you can stream Apartment by Bruno Mars and Rosette, which is a pretty modern song. So thankfully, you're not getting some oldies or whatsoever on this karaoke app here. Now, there are some really cool features, such as letting your passenger scan a QR code and to have a song queue up onto the playlist, which is actually really cool. And you can search for your songs by pressing on this search button here. You can even choose by songs, artists, eras, and languages, depending on what kind of songs that you want to see. Now, you might be thinking if there's any license infringement with all these songs inside here, which thankfully there isn't, because it doesn't stream the music video like what you see on those Chinese karaoke Android boxes and all that. So let me just show you how it is. So let's say if I were to listen to Apartment by Rosé and Bruno Mars. So I'm just going to mute the volume right now because we don't want to have any copyright infringements on YouTube. And let's tap sing now. So yep, this is how it's going to look like. As you can see, there's no Apartment music video playing on, but it's just a very random animated background playing at the back here. So this is how the lyrics are. I'm not going to sing the whole thing, but you get the idea. This is how the karaoke app works, and it actually works really great. Finally, I'm just so happy that the M6 infotainment system has a built-in web browser that you can use. Now, of course, you will need to connect to your phone's hotspot in order to use the web browser. There's no way to use the car's onboard internet connection, which is, to be honest, not much of an issue here. So I've loaded up KLGadgetGuide.com, and as you can see, it looks really great right here. And what I can even do here is to turn the screen into portrait in order to view it like a smartphone. Look at this. It looks really great. And this browser here, it actually supports a lot of websites. You can even like load up YouTube if you want to. So this is all accessible when the car is stationary and you're not moving along. So this is actually for for safety purposes, to be honest. So let's say if I move into drive mode right now, and you can see this is going to be the message that it comes up. So even if I press on OK, after that, yeah, it just simply quits the browser. So you can't use the web browser while you are driving. So this is actually a good safety feature in order to keep you stay focused on the road. So yeah, like I mentioned in the beginning, the BYD M6 is far from being the most affordable MPV in the market, considering there are more cheaper options out there, despite those options are not an electric MPV. However, if you are ready to start your electric journey with an MPV and you need a people mover that can fit 7 people inside, well, the BYD M6 is really the people mover of most people's dreams out there, with a starting price of 109,000 ringgit. Because for this price alone, if you're considering what you can get in the ICE car market, you really can't get the features that this car has. It has a really good interior, it has the tech that you'll want, and most importantly, it has the performance for the driver to enjoy driving on the road and to ferry 7 people inside. Right, so that's pretty much on my thoughts of the BYD M6. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos coming right out, and I will see you in the next one.